7:59, and I'm calling to order this meeting of the Home Inspection Licensing Board. So good morning to everyone. So did everyone have a chance to review the minutes from our previous meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Any questions or discussions on those minutes? Do you have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
A second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay. So let's move on to our comments. Any comments or concerns from anyone that are present today?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And then we have someone from the investigation division.
Good morning, Pamela Brown, Director of Investigation.
Yes, good morning.
So I don't know if you have any questions on the report. There are two items that were closed by investigations. They're basically complaints regarding workmanship, and which means, they're alleging that items were missed during an inspection, pretty much.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on that report? Okay. Legal division. Any comments or anyone representing legal with any information for us? Okay, I guess not. Old business. We just want to briefly revisit that notification of our amendments to our regulations. Those that notification has gone out. I received one. I assume everyone else did. So there really isn't anything more to cover with that. It took a while to get that out, but I think all licensed inspectors should be on board with all those changes. Now we have a discussion. We have someone joining us, Pavlos Karakaksanas.
Yes,
How
sir.
did I do? How did I do?
You did good.
Okay, so we had a discussion at our previous meeting about the package for issuing your license, and that the log was not submitted or was misplaced. Where do we stand with that? I've been in discussion with Margaret Poisson. I don't think she's with us today, but we still don't have a log of the inspections you performed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I sent them in back July of 2021. Since then, I went through a divorce. I mean, I've been in the restaurant business for 15 years. I wound up closing the restaurant down, selling a property, selling a house, selling pretty much everything. My former wife used to do the books for everything. So Joe emailed her. I looked through 13,000 emails on my laptop, her laptop. I got a letter signed by Joe stating that I did do it. Margaret called Joseph up last week because Joe called me up and said someone from Consumer Protections. So Miss Maggie actually did call Joe, and Joe verified that, yes, he did do 100 inspections under Housemasters under him. I don't have it. Joe retired 2 years ago, moved to Tennessee. He's now suffering, he had surgery, brain cancer. So right now he went through his emails, but I don't expect him to go any farther than he has. Yeah, I mean, the guy's got, he's got 2 kids and a wife, and he's, he's on his deathbed. So he went far and beyond just to look for that. But he did sent me a signed letter that Maggie has everything. At the time I did the 100 inspections because I had the restaurant open, I would meet Joe in the morning at 8 o'clock, jump in his car, and we would take off and do the inspections. Right now, I got child support, a world of bills, and I was left with quite a bit of debt. I can't afford to go back and pay someone $10,000 not work and do inspections that I already did 2 years ago. It just, I don't know. I looked. I asked my ex-wife. She said she looked. I mean, I don't expect her to go any farther than she's gone. Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Okay.
but I,
Question for you, why 2 years to look for the emails? We just were brought this our attention not too long ago.
I just took the test 6 months ago because my attorney at the time did not want me having a third
Yeah.
income. So I
Yeah.
had the restaurant, I had the gun company, I owned the properties, everything. So he's like, just put the home inspection on hold until everything. So everything finally cleared. Everything is good. Everything is cordial. You know, I mean, my children, everything's settled. And now I'm ready to start my new career. I mean, I flew down to Colorado last year, spent $4,000 to get my CPI from Internachi. I mean, I took every other certification from mold assessor, radon technician, radon professional, septic. I mean, I've done every course there is to take.
Do you have certification on all, you have paper certifications on all those?
I do. I sent everything to Maggie.
Yeah, I've
And-
seen a package
and
of that. Yeah, I have seen
Mhm.
a package of that. The only thing about that, Pavlos, is that many of those things aren't part of home inspections. I mean, it's nice to know about a septic, but we're not required to inspect them. We don't do radon testing. We don't do, or we're not required to do it. It's not part of our license. Same with wood destroying insects and so that was in your package, but it doesn't really pertain to getting a home inspection license. Those are services that we all offer and do, but they're not required. So I did see that the Internachi membership and whatever he had to do with that. I guess these inspections were done in like a 5-month time frame.
Almost 6 months, correct.
Okay. And you had direct supervision or indirect supervision?
Direct. That was with Joe for all because that was his last year. He was retiring. So I was there every single day with him, every single inspection.
Okay. And you performed all those inspections?
The first 10, 15, I just he didn't want me to do anything, just to look at what's going on and get down the pattern, start here, go counterclockwise, get on the roof, yada, yada. And then after that, I was report writing. And he would just look over my shoulder and just correct me as we went along.
Okay.
Where'd you take the course, Pablo?
I took the online course AHIT. And then I also took the Internachi course for the
Did you pass that?
CPI.
Did you pass the test?
Yes, sir. I took the national home exam at PSI in Massachusetts.
And Larry, you have that record as well?
Oh, yeah, the department has those records. Yeah, yeah. So what happened to the reports, the inspection reports? So forget about the log for now. What happened to the reports?
Joe said he had everything on a laptop. I asked him iPad. I asked him to send me the iPad. He said he had a flood the first year he moved there, and pretty much not only the iPads got destroyed, but everything else. And then I asked him, it should have been in iCloud. He was using software PalmTech from like 12 years ago, like the original PalmTech. So it was very crude. It wasn't like now you have Spectora, everything gets downloaded, you know what I mean? So he, like I said, he said he looked. I don't want to push him anymore because, you know what I mean? He's a friend of mine too. I've known the guy for many years. He actually did my home inspection on 2 of my houses before I bought that one.
Mhm.
But like I said, the man has brain cancer right now. I
Right.
think he's gone far and beyond.
Now, you had mentioned just a few minutes ago that you started writing reports.
Correct.
Right. You signed those reports?
I signed most of them on his iPad. He only had one iPad.
Okay, so these reports were created on his software or on his equipment?
Correct.
So we have no track of getting those reports.
I tried, sir. I did everything I possibly could. If there was a way, I would have done it, but I tried everything.
You're
Bruce,
muted, Bruce.
You're muted, Bruce.
I'm sorry?
You're muted, Dave.
One of our members is muted.
Sorry.
Find that microphone with the slash on it and click on it, Bruce.
Pavlos, was there no printed documentation of the, the inspections, no agreements, nothing on paper that Joe held on to?
Everything was iPad, and as soon as the check cleared or he got payment at the end, he just hit a button and he sent it. I mean, I can probably contact real estate agents, but I don't think they would let me. I mean, I don't own House Masters, and Joe's retired. I don't think he's gonna go that far.
Hmm.
I mean, I was thinking about, because I knew quite a few real estate agents. I was actually thinking about calling them up and be like, hey, from this time frame to this time frame. But yet again, that's confidential information. Who am I? I can't just take up someone's. I mean, even
Who emailed the reports out, you or Joe?
Joe did. I mean, I've hit, send a few times, but Joe was right there with me. We did it.
No, I'm saying, can you get into his emails?
No.
If you contact him and get into his emails, some of the real estate agents, you should be able to back history, the real estate agent, Gene Smith, and all the emails from Gene Smith should pop up. And in that should be in that should be the report that he sent to Gene Smith. You follow me?
Did you pay him $10,000?
No, I did not. It was internship.
What did you pay him for the internship?
I didn't pay him anything. I would drive, I would buy him breakfast, I would buy him lunch, and I'd buy him coffee. But he did not charge me anything, no. That was Joe's last year retirement anyway. So he's like, and the only reason he stayed that extra year because of COVID, and he was doing 10 inspections a week. So once that died down, his family was already in Tennessee a year before. He was living out of a hotel, paying $250 a week for the last 6 months. And then he just took off and he said, here you go. And I was supposed to buy his franchise. But then he said, he goes, there's no point of buying House Masters. He goes, you already knew half of the agents because, because I owned a restaurant and most of them used to come in. He goes, there's no point. He goes, just open up. And then here you go. He goes, you got everything you need.
I think Joe's email is probably the best bet you have to at least follow through and get a bunch of the reports. I mean, I know the guy is like not in good shape, but his wife is probably still have access to his email. And, it's very difficult, I think, for us to verify anything without any information. So I think that's probably your best route.
But I don't think he used a personal email. He used House Masters, and he shut that down.
Probably active.
I'm
There's
sorry.
still going to be access to that.
They should still have access to that, right?
Yeah. So if you get his password, you should be able to go into his emails, do history of who he sent them to, put that real estate agent in, and all the emails that he sent her should come up. And in those emails should be copies of the reports.
So get his password to the old one, and then just pretty much just backtrack from July 2020.
Well, you can just put in history, or where you put the you put that person's email address. Those past emails should pop up that were sent to him, or that he sent to her.
But I didn't sign all 100, so yeah. I mean, if I just get a bunch of emails, how do you guys even know I did them or not if I didn't sign all 100?
Well, we'd have to call when you did the inspections, were the people on the inspections?
What people?
The clients or the
Were the buyers on the inspections?
Yes.
And so they would, if you gave us 10 of them and we called 10 of them up, they would say, okay, yeah, he was there and he did the inspection.
Well, these happened how many years ago? 4 years ago?
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
2 years. Yeah. Bruce, have you been a supervisor?
Yeah, I've been a supervisor.
Okay, what is the procedure for establishing yourself as a supervisor?
Anybody who has a license could be a supervisor.
Well, I understand that, but do you have to somehow sign up with Consumer Protection, with the department as a supervisor?
Well, when you start the process, you have to verify that you're the supervisor for this person.
Okay. Okay. So did this person, did this,
Joe.
the supervisor, Joe, okay, did he do that? Was he established as a supervisor?
I'm sure he had to do it.
So then we should look through we should ask the state to see if there's any verification that he's been the supervisor for Pablo's.
Perfect.
Right. I think the department should be able to confirm that. I mean, this latest amendment that we passed, you know, would help with that, because there were some things that were changed and added, but those would not apply back then, I don't think. But I think that's one place to start, in addition to trying to track down the emails. Problem I have is that I do an inspection, I write reports. On average, the physical inspection, you know, takes about 3 hours to do. You know, and it can be a small house, it could be a bigger house, but they all have the same things. You know, mechanical systems, heating, cooling, electric, all these things. So on average, 3 hours, and you're required to do 100. That's on average 300 hours of training that we're looking at, and you're requesting that we bypass. The point is, that's a huge piece of the internship is the physical training. So yeah.
Where are you located out of?
I'm living in Connecticut, Canterbury, Connecticut currently, the last 2 years.
Canterbury.
Yeah, I lived in Griswold before. There's no way, it has to be 1 out of 3 emails. The business email of my restaurant, my personal email, or my ex-wife's. Isn't there a way, like, because I went online and I typed up state, but between liquor permits, you know, gun transfers and yada, yada, I've been dealing with consumer protections for years. I can't find that, but can't you guys, like the state, go online and just type my email, 1 out of 3 emails? And it should.
Well, even if we do that, the most that we're going to get is that there was somebody who signed up to do an internship with you and supervise you. So the most we're going to get from somebody is just to say somebody started supervising you as an intern. So we're not going to have it. We're not going to have anything else. And what Larry is saying is it's the responsibility of the board to make sure that you've done the proper training. And if we don't have any verification of that, it's difficult for us to just let it go.
Agreed. But can't we find an email on who I sent that log inspection to? It's
Did you send a log to the state?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay,
Well, that's what initiated this issue, is that the log was, well, we don't know what happened to the log.
But Larry, so you've already found out from the state that we never received the log?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, so that nobody's received the log. Maybe it never got sent. If you can't find it and the state does not have it, then maybe it just was the wrong email or something, and we can't go over that.
What kind of file was sent? What kind of file did you send to the state? Was it a PDF file or was it something else?
This was 2 years ago. I don't remember.
Did you make that doc? Did you put the file together, or was it something Joe did?
Joe sent it to my ex-wife. My ex-wife did it on what do you call that? Excel, where it breaks everything.
So
Okay.
it's an Excel spreadsheet. Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking file size might have held up if it was too big, but if it was an Excel file, I don't think it would be held up in your outbox.
So why can't your wife find it?
Good luck. She's my ex-wife. I divorced her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's not gonna.
What you can't search I don't know what the email that you would have to send it to for the.
It was probably hers, and she's not gonna give me the
No,
password.
no. Okay, all right.
I searched the point at 138 at gmail.com. There was close to 13,000 emails. I went to every single email. It wasn't on that. I checked my email. It was, so it has to be under her email. Because like I
Okay,
said,
so-
so sorry.
let's look under her email from the state communication.
That's what I asked 6 months ago. It shouldn't be that difficult. Type up her name.
so-
Well,
So they didn't find anything, Larry?
yeah, as far as I know,
No one checked.
yeah, they looked back and did not have a receipt of, or, no record of receiving a log, I guess.
All right,
Who-
well, is there any
who
other
checked that?
information? We should probably discuss this privately, Larry. Is there anything else you could tell us that for us to make our decision?
Unfortunately, that's all I got. I
Okay.
apologize. I mean, I should have had a record of it. I did not. It just, the last couple of years were tough. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
did do them. I did send them, either me or my ex-wife. There should be some kind of record in the state computer database. You know what I mean?
My only thought is if you can find the email address that you were supposed to send it to, and just ask your wife one more time just to put that in there and see what pops up.
I begged her and I plead her. She
How about,
said,
how about offering her some money? Say, look, I'll give you $2,000 if you find this email.
You said it
Because
was
otherwise
Otherwise, it's gonna cost you, it could cost you 10,000 to go for another intern.
Yeah, she may even have the Word file or the Excel spreadsheet. She's probably got a record of that spreadsheet on her computer.
I'm sure she does, but it was a nasty divorce.
But
I thought you
most
said you guys
people,
were getting along.
people are getting $15,000 for an internship. So you know, there might be a value there of some amount that you think that maybe would push the needle, and you'd have to think about it.
I told her, I begged her, I pleaded her, but it wasn't about money. It's, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
she doesn't really.
I mean, I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but maybe check with your lawyer to see if there's some kind of a small claims action that you could bring to her in an attempt to get this information. I mean, you're trying to make a living.
Yes.
That seems like a reasonable argument that you could make to a magistrate where she would be required to release this information. The other, again, on a limb thought, but all these inspections were local to Griswold, Canterbury, so on.
Norwich, correct. Old
Norwich.
Saybrook.
I know it happens all the time where I'm driving around and I say, oh yeah, I inspected that house or I inspected this house. Is there any chance that you could stop by one of those homes? See
Yeah.
if you could talk with the owner. If the person that worked with you still hired, maybe they have their inspection report. Maybe they would agree to, even like Bruce said, sell it to you. Who knows? But
The other thing, Larry, is that he said he's already has like a following of certain agents that will use him. So if he has 10 agents that said they would use him, they could tell you who the people were that they did the inspections with.
right.
Well, they'd probably also have the reports.
Yeah.
The
Correct.
history of
Well,
the
the thing
email.
with the real estate agent having a report. Now, I don't know about the real estate agents, but ethically, we would not be able to release reports just like that without permission from
The owner.
who our client was. But
they
I mean,
could give
getting
you
a
the-
name of who those buyers were, and perhaps you can approach them, send them a letter or something.
Larry, how many buyers would we need to have? Let's be realistic about this. So would we need 30 buyers, 40 buyers that we could contact randomly to talk to?
Yeah, I guess that's up to us to decide. I'm not sure. We'd have to maybe check with some others in the department with legal. You're saying getting a certain percentage of the 100?
Yeah, because I mean, let's say our number is, I don't know, if you wanted to get 60 of them or 80 of them.
Right,
He's not gonna do that. He's not
Right.
gonna be able to
Right.
do that. If he
Right.
could get, if we're saying to him even 40, we want 40 of the reports that he did, he can make a decision now that that's not gonna happen. And why even waste the time doing this? And I'll just have to find another alternative. Now, what are the other alternatives? There's companies out there, I know mine, and I know others, that you'd have to work for a period of time, but you don't pay for your internship. Or you have to go, you have to find somebody who's going to supervise you and do the internship. And you could probably make some money doing the internship. So yeah, I think he needs to find out all his alternatives to make a business decision on how to get through this.
If I contact 10 agents or half a dozen agents, because Joe used a handful multiple times, if I can get X amount of reports and go knock on that door and explain to the homeowner, hey, this is what's going on. I'm sure they're going to remember me. Hey, this is what's going on, yada, yada. Would it be okay if Consumer Protection, if someone from the state would to call you? If I have the real estate and I have it in sign and the buyer releases their report, can we start there? Maybe I'll start with a dozen or so.
Well, that's what I was saying to you, Larry. Is 12 going to be enough? Is 20 going to be enough? Is 30 going to be enough? So if we, maybe we need to discuss this privately and come up with a number, and then we can give him a number saying this is how many we would require.
That's more
If
than
any.
fair. That's more than fair.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's reasonable. I'm not sure who makes those decisions. I mean, I think we're able to make the decision to grant the hardship, but the hardship you're asking for is providing, nothing, basically saying that you had these hardships and you submitted the log, it got misplaced, it wasn't received or whatever, and your supervisor couldn't help you. And so in terms of granting a hardship where,
Yeah, that's
Right.
asking too much. I get it. Yeah, that's kind of like, yeah.
So I guess, I mean,
Let
we
me-
can leave it, maybe we can leave it at that, where you can try to contact as many agents, do some more legwork, and see what you can come up with. And then once we have that in hand, we as a board cannot grant you a license or deny you a license. That's another division within the department. So we can make a recommendation. And so I think that, if you can go out and see what you can dig up, and then we can see what you have and then make a recommendation, back to the department.
Pablo, do you still have these other businesses going on, a restaurant and a store and
No, I
stuff?
shut everything out. After I filed for divorce, everything got shut down. Now I'm just pretty much swinging a hammer the last 2 years. I've just been doing construction.
I see. All right. Well, I don't think there's any more, Larry.
Yeah.
Can I ask one
Yeah.
more question? Doesn't the state have like a data recovery, someone that just does that? So if they just type in 1 out of the 3 emails, I'm sure make everyone's life easier. They could just pop it up, because it has to be 1 out of 3 emails it was sent, the log
But
inspection.
I think that's what they did. I mean,
I don't
why
think
don't you send us the 3 emails and then they'll check the 3 emails. I mean, that's the first step we could do.
But was it checked and by who?
Well, we don't know that. Larry, do you know any of that?
No, Maggie Poison has been your contact, right, Pavlos?
I haven't spoke to Maggie in months. She hasn't returned any of my emails. She returned 1 email last week saying, but I've been going back and forth with Sabrina. But Maggie, pretty much, she hasn't done anything. I'm still waiting for a
Okay.
confirmation from 2 months ago.
So,
That's why I'm going to the board, and that's why I'm working my way up the ladder, trying to do
Right.
everything and anything I can. This is my livelihood. This isn't a hobby. This is a career.
right.
Okay.
Well, we can look into what the department has done to try to locate the log that was sent. I mean, we can do that, and then in the meantime, between now and perhaps our next meeting or whatever, you see what you could come up with to
Definitely
confirm
will.
some of these reports. I'm not sure what else we can do. It's just such an unusual case, and the request of, this is such a huge part of your training.
I understand. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand.
Um,
So I'll get on that. And then when's the next board meeting? Can I get on that one too? By then, if I can get
Yeah,
as many.
we meet quarterly, and it's going to be in September. And if you have some success, quickly, then maybe we can do something sooner. But we'd have
It'll be the
to,
next 2 weeks. I'm getting started on it today.
yeah.
Definitely. You know what I
Well,
mean? I'll
we'd have to
definitely-
look into that if we.
Well,
if
that's
we-
why I brought up Larry. If he comes up with 12 inspections or 15 inspections, is that even close to good enough?
Well, yeah, and I'm not sure who can make that decision at this point right now. I don't know if that's a board decision or if we have to. I mean, I'm seeing Rachel, Jason, you're on the meeting. Do you have any input on this at all?
I mean, it's probably the board's decision. And John, I don't know if you have thoughts on it.
Good morning. I would leave it up to the board essentially to dictate a number that you're looking for the applicant to provide based upon inspections that he completed. We could work with legal, but essentially as as essentially the appointed authority on such, we could work in conjunction with this.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's the commissioner's decision, but the commissioner would rely on a recommendation from this board.
Okay. All right. So perhaps we can arrive at an attempted goal for you to find some reports. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Mine might be, and again, maybe too many, maybe not enough, but 25%. If you can come up with 25 reports.
I would agree with that. And I also think you should get a hold of Joe's email password, and you could go through his emails.
I'll get on that too.
Searching the real estate agents that you use all the time. And then if you wanted, you could, because technically, I don't think there's an issue. You did that report, so you should have kept them and had access to them, but you didn't. But I don't see why he couldn't print those reports out, go to that house that he did the report and have the owner sign the fact that he was there. So if he went to 255 Mulberry Street,
Yep.
and he walked up to that house and say, listen, I did the report, this is the situation, would you just sign this saying the fact that you verify the fact I was here? And he had a report in hand.
Should I write something up and print it and just give it to them? So when they sign it, they're actually signing something like I authorize, Pablo Scaracatsanis, yada, yada, you know what I mean?
I think you'd have to say, Pablos, that they acknowledge that you did the whole inspection.
Oh,
And
perfect. All right. Yep.
That you've performed the whole inspection, and that they were there and they saw you doing it, and it wasn't your intern, it wasn't the supervisor who did the job.
You want their name, number, address, and then the report itself.
Right.
All right.
Well, you should be able to get the report. If you can find the email, then printing it out wouldn't be an issue, I wouldn't think, or.
Well, if not, I'm just gonna call up some agents. I'll find them on Facebook or Google, call them up, explain the situation. Because like I said, Joe used, there was like 4 or 5 agents that he used. They used him almost exclusively. So they should have, 25, I'll definitely get 25, but I'm hoping maybe even get 50, 60, 70 between a half a dozen agents. I don't know.
Yeah, I think 50 would probably be, if you were able to come up with 50 and we were able to do some research on those 50, I think it'd be a lot easier for us to say okay to this.
I agree. But if it's 25, can we do something or no, it has to be 50?
Well, I don't know. We haven't really discussed it yet, but I think that we'd have to have a meeting and verify what we think is proper.
Well, I think that right now we can come up with a minimum. I just threw out, 25%. Do you guys do you want more? Do you want less? We can approve a number for you to search for.
I think the 25 is fine. I'm going with 25.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'd say at least 25, but if you can get more, then great.
Yeah, get as many as you can and then we'll be looking for 25.
Do I send this to licensing division or do I have to wait till September? Is there someone I can contact directly? Because I'm not having any luck with the
Yeah, I would-
licensing division.
All right, so get what you can in hand, and then I would get back to the contact. I don't know, Rachel,
Can I-
would you come in on board with that as our board coordinator? Getting the information and then informing us, or what is the direction? Jason, Rachel, one of you guys can maybe give us some guidance there?
Definitely come to me and I can make sure it gets to you guys. I don't want to overstep that there's already been, licensing involved and they're working on the application. So I don't want to have too many people all in the one, one conversation, but absolutely, I can certainly, if it gets to me, I can certainly pass it along. So.
Well, did you say you have a contact, Pavlos, that Maggie hasn't been, the latest one? Who did you say? Sabrina or something?
Sabrina Morelli. She went far.
Sabrina Morelli, you're on the meeting here.
Yeah.
Can you
Okay, so
contact?
this is Pamela Brown, Director of Investigation. Sabrina Morelli was working on a special project that I assigned to her, which had to do with the professional organizations, Chairman Willett, we spoke about.
Right,
So that is
right.
her narrow scope. So it would need to go back to Maggie in licensing. That's her role of processing applications.
I think the easiest way to get this list, Larry, is what company did you say was a franchise of?
Housemasters.
Houseman. So Housemaster has all this information, Larry.
I don't know that they do or not. I don't know.
That's
They're
what
not
I
the
asked
franchise,
Joe.
right?
I told Joe they should definitely have it. I was like, there is no reason Housemaster, but he said he uses the old software. And I was gonna go above Joe's head and call Housemasters. I think I might just do that anyway, but they should have
Absolutely.
some kind of record.
Housemaster has the insurance. Housemaster is responsible for each one of the franchises. So they've got to have a log of everything that goes on in every Housemaster.
That's what I told Joe. He's like, no, he goes, it doesn't go to the iCloud, everything. Like, he's like, my life was on the iPad, but I will call Housemasters today and just explain the situation. And if they do
All right.
have it, then I have Joe can, tell them, hey, yeah, listen, do what you got to do.
Right. Joe doesn't care, right?
Why
No,
would he?
Joe's, yeah.
Okay. All right, so there's a few directions for you to go, Pavlos. I think you should, do the legwork, contact this Housemasters group, see what you can do. And if they can help you, well, then you don't have to hunt for reports. So why don't you get back to the department with what you're able to come up with? And whether it be, through Maggie Poison or I guess that's the way to do it. But then let the department know what you've been able to uncover.
Right.
Because there's a few different things here we've been talking about.
No, it's fair. And I'll go down both avenues. I'll call Housemaster, then I'll get on the phone with the agents and I'll see if Joe can give me his password. But one out of those three, something's got to give. But at least now I have a direction and at least now someone's listening. So I appreciate everything you guys done for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I think we're all set with that. Members, can we move on?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's move on.
That's fair.
Pavlos, you know what you're gonna try to do, and and get back in touch with the department, and it'll filter its way back to us, and we'll take it from there.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
All right, all right.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Okay, so our next item on the agenda is the continued discussion of out-of-state application review. That was in our minutes. Mark, has anything come up with that? I mean, it seems to be down in that corner of Connecticut where there were the concerns of guys crossing the state line from New York and doing inspections. Has anything happened with that since
Not
our
that I'm
last meeting?
aware of, Larry, not that I'm aware of. You know, there was a question raised in an ASHI meeting a few months ago. I think that's where that started, but I haven't heard anything more about it, you know, since then.
Okay, okay, so the key thing there is if there is a complaint, it comes up, then your response to that person would be, you got to come up with a name so that the department can do something about it.
And I think a lot of it is it's all sort of, I heard there was,
Yeah,
you know, this kind of
Hearsay.
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's, you know, listen, I mean, it's not just made up. I mean, it's definitely, you know, there are guys coming across the border to do home inspections,
yeah.
you know, but I can't speak to, you know, how they're verified to work in Connecticut.
Right, right. Well, that's the only way that the department, I think, can do something about it is if we know who they are. And then with regard to what we had decided last month was that if someone does make application from New York, from Massachusetts, we went through that procedure, and the board coordinator was reviewing the application process and then getting to us if there was anything missing. And then we would decide on making a recommendation as to what that applicant would have to do. And I think moving forward, I spoke with some people from the department, and that's the best process. Because we, as a board, we cannot issue or deny a license. So we have to make a recommendation so that back to the department. So I just wanted to be clear, just for clarity, that that should be the procedure. Looking at the application process is simple enough to seeing that it complies with what our state requires. So I just wanted to put that on the agenda just so that we have clarity as to how that process is going to work out. You know, when, I don't know if there's lots of applicants that are coming from out of state to get Connecticut licenses, but that would be the process. So everyone's clear on that. All right. So under new business, we had a discussion in process updating of the list. And I just wanted to just touch on that just briefly, and that all board members have been informed that when we receive the courses for approval, the board coordinator is sending them, Rochelle is sending them to me, and then I'm sending them to one of you guys. We've made some changes, improvements to that. One of the things we're looking for is to make sure that anyone who's offering courses for pre-licensing include a minimum of 3 hours of our regulations in their course. And I think that was added to the application process so that anyone making their application would know and include that in their course outline. The other thing that we added, and I think, I'm not sure if this is in the actual application process, but as part of the outline, we want to know what the objective of the course is and what the participant would be expected to do once they've, completed the course. And so that helps us in looking at the outline to say, okay, this is their objective and this is, they're either meeting it or they're not. And then, it looks like we've been doing this now for, I don't know, 6 weeks or something. I think that deadline for resubmitting is in August. And it seems like it's slow going. I mean, that list was about 70 some odd providers. It seems like that's going to be considerably less. But is that deadline in August, Rochelle or Jason?
Yes, I'm looking at the email now. The database will become available on August 1st. So we had the deadline for May 31st for courses to get it approved in time, but now it's just on a rolling basis. So August 1st will be when we'll have the data portal up and live on the website.
Okay. Okay. Were there any questions about that, guys? I think there was a question as to the length of time it takes the department to actually approve a course. Was there some type of it was going to take 10 days? Is that what the department needs, Rochelle?
I don't believe we have a set schedule for review. You know, we do try to get it, I think in general, the general verbiage is within 2 weeks or so. But I know we don't have like a set time frame for application reviews. I do try to get them out to you as soon as possible, but I know sometimes there are some delays. But I think in general with the new process, we're probably looking at about a week to a week and a half. But I think an average is under a week turnaround. So.
Okay, I think that comes into play with the approval of CEU courses, you know, the 1, 2, or 3 hour courses where oftentimes the associations, whether they be Coastal ASHE or the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors, CAHI, you know, they may need approval kind of as quickly as possible. So I don't know that that's an issue. Any board members have any questions about that? Mark, did you have any questions about that?
I mean, my points, Larry, I think you've made, you know, and the timing is for CE approval, you know, is 10 days too much? I mean, is it possible to get that approved sooner? And if not, does it, would it be applicable that if it was approved after the course actually happened, would there still be, you know, would that be okay? Although I think there's a lot of risk there if we're offering a class for CE and then it doesn't get approved, you know, after the fact.
I'm sorry, just to chime in, I don't believe it says it takes 10 days to approve. It says you must submit at least 10 days before the class happens. It will probably only takes us a day or two to approve it, but we don't want you sending in a class submittal a couple days before the class. We need advance notice. So the 10 days is how many days before the class happens as a minimum for you to submit it. But you're going to get approval well before that 10 days.
Understood.
Okay.
I think sometimes the challenge is if there's not a, you know, it's from an association standpoint. And I'm with ASHE, so I'm speaking in regards to that. You know, sometimes it's less than 10 days where we actually, you know, sign a speaker on. So in that particular case, you know, getting an approval or getting it in 10 days prior sometimes is challenging.
Okay. I mean, is that a possibility that a course could happen, but then not be approved? And then, of course, credit would not be issued. But would that be acceptable to the department if a course happened and then subsequently it is approved? Could credit be issued?
I mean, I would say no. You cannot offer a course that has not been approved. And now we can work with a school to try and turn around as quickly as possible, but we're generally requiring 10 days advance notice. Now, if there is an exception, we'll do our best, but most definitely cannot offer a course that has not been approved.
Okay. Okay. So basically they can offer the course, but they can't say it's approved, obviously.
Well, I mean, you can't really offer an unapproved course.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Right. Okay, I think that clears up that. Any other questions from the board members on that? Okay. Any correspondence from anyone? Any comments or concerns from anyone today? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, approved or, all in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Okay, so we've adjourned the meeting. Thanks everyone for attending.